is the septic hauler permit for Zano Davis Sanitary Plumbing. Number 4 is reassignment policy and vote. Number 5 is road acceptance.
Can I just make a comment on that? I was hoping that Rod would be here this evening. He did have some issues with it, so could we pass over this until Rod is back on? He'd be back Thursday, so at the next meeting we'd be prepared for it.
That's the road acceptance.
The road acceptance.
Pass over that. Pass over that.
Pass over.
Please, thank you.
Okay, number 6 is government infrastructure bill shorefront protection.
That's a discussion of my draft letter, and whether we're gonna go forward as a board with it.
Okay, yeah, I saw the letter, yeah, it looks good. Number 7, award request for quote 2021 repair of passive vents on landfill. Number 8 is mattress recycling vendor recommendation. Under discussion, number 1 is 965 Plain Street update. Number 2 is the Marshfield Hills sidewalk update. Number 3 is the Eagle Scout Sea Trash Project. We have the superintendent's report. We do have an executive session. It's the superintendent's contract. Next meeting is Monday, May 24th, 2021. Do I have a second? Second. You poll the board, Mr. Reynolds.
Motion's been made and second to accept the agenda. Chairman Cusick,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Carrier,
Aye.
Clerk Shaughnessy.
Aye.
So moved.
Okay. We're on to the approval of the open meeting minutes for 2021. I could read them. I saw nothing there. I thought they were very good. I mean,
Yeah, good job.
so
I also am all set with it.
I'm okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept the an approval of the open meeting minutes for 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Requires a roll call vote.
Yes.
Chairman Cusick,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Aye.
Clerk Shaughnessy.
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, we're on to the next
426.
open meeting minutes. 4/26/21. I read those. I have no problem with that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion,
Was I on that one?
don't think you
You were
were.
not, but
You came in late, like
Yeah.
it was 20 past 6.
Okay.
It was only a 10-minute meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion has been made and second and requires a roll call vote. Chairman Cusick,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Aye.
Clerk Shaughnessy.
Aye.
So moved.
The next item is the reorganization of positions of the Board of Public Works after the town election. Newly elected public clerk. Let's find out what's going on. So you want to make a motion?
I would move that Robert Shaughnessy, who stands for re-election next, would be the chairman of the Board of Public Works.
You all right with that, Bud?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'll second that.
To pull the board, please.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, barring any discussion, Chairman Cusick,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Aye.
Clerk Shaughnessy.
Aye.
So moved.
Now in charge of the meeting, Bob.
Now you're in charge, Bob.
Nice to be back in the flesh.
Yes, it
Hope you
is.
can hear me from my basement. I mean, it's been very, this pandemic been very difficult for a lot of us. And, pushed us to the end on IT guys. All right.
You still have the rest of the board to be organized.
Yeah, I know that. Okay. The next position is the vice chair. I would like to nominate the next in line after me being reelected, Dave Carrier. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in
Motion,
favor?
motion been made and seconded, barring any discussion, Chairman Shaughnessy,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Aye.
Clerk Cusick.
Aye.
So moved,
And
unanimous.
the last position of the newly elected. Congratulations, John, on
Thank
reelection.
you so much.
Thank you
It
for
was a
your,
hard fought.
thank you for committing your service to the town.
It was really, I appreciate all the votes I got. One by more than 7, like 8.
All right.
So I put John Kuzak's name for clerk in motion for
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Chairman Shaughnessy.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Aye.
Clerk Cusick.
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Item number 3, septic haulage permit. We have paperwork on this?
We do.
I do, I have that.
You want to read the paperwork? I don't have it.
I'll say it's just his
I
application.
have it. Robert is,
Oh, I do have it. Never mind.
Oh, wait,
We got the application.
Here's
It-
the full
Roseanne
thing.
Davis sanitary pumping.
here's all the
Yeah.
paperwork right here.
Okay.
Yeah, I have, it's Paul Davis from Rosano Davis Sanitary Pumping. They have 33 years as a septic pumper. They work in Cohasset, Hingham, Norwell, Marshfield, Hanover, Duxbury, Situate, and Abington. And Jay's comments,
Oh, Clint, he just
Where?
signs the top thing.
right, and Jay, okay, so
Jay
it's
doesn't
been
do that.
approved by
Hey, Clint.
Clint, the superintendent. We do have his listing of his vehicles, and we also have his liability insurance certificate and his trade references.
Okay, hearing that, I make a motion to accept and sign the septic haulage permit.
I will second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. It requires a roll call vote. Chairman Shaughnessy.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes.
Clerk Cusick.
Aye.
So moved.
I want to turn this item over to John Kuzak that brought it up at the last meeting. John?
I wrote an addendum to the policy that Mr. Maresco had brought before our board. I sent it to the town council, Mr. Galvin. I did not get an answer, nothing. I also was in contact with the Board of Health to see if there was any authority granted through the Board of Health to Mr. Maresco, and I got no answer. So I didn't get any answers from any of the departments. So going back and looking at the previous, one of our previous meetings after that acceptance, if Mr. Maresco did not have the authority, which doesn't sound like he did, because no one sending anything back to us that said that they had a policy that would allow him to direct our employees. I also looked at the enterprise funds from the general law, chapter 4453 F and a half, where it does say that it goes into the mayor or board of selectmen decide to operate an enterprise fund for a particular service, and it does direct it to the town council. In this case, it's the Board of Public Works. These bodies may vote an enterprise fund only for purposes indicated in the statute. So in other words, I think Mr. Maresco is overstepping his, whatever they call it, his authority. I also went and I had a newsletter from the organization that provides the volunteers. And they have been billing the volunteers, both medical and non-medical volunteers at the Marshfield Fairgrounds. They've actually logged from October 1, 2020 to April 17, 2021, have logged 2,094.5 hours, total $51,629. And this is this organization that's over in Duxbury. Between January 1 and April 15, 2021, they've added 400 potentially new volunteers. So I don't know, in the sense like why we need our enterprise fund employees to be volunteers at the vaccination site. I don't see any type of, an emergency or anything. There seems to be enough volunteers. Actually, I think there's more vaccines now than there is residents that want to get vaccinated.
So let me, Dave and me approved this policy because it was a state, we're at the time, we're in a state of emergency. The issue I have is I don't disagree with the issue of the enterprise funds, of volunteers. It's just that there should be some control over who says who what, and it should come from the superintendent of public works.
Correct.
So where in this document do we need to add those words?
But correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but my memory is that Mike Maresco's position as town administrator was that it was by agreement with the department heads, correct? For the
Exactly.
volunteer program.
Exactly.
To some extent, I'm taking the position that this ship is kind of sailed because we are past the emergency and stuff like that. But, and the but is, I don't have a problem with documenting the actual authority granted to Maresco by the Board of Selectmen. Under the charter, there's really only one piece of authority that the town administrator has: control of town hall. That's all that's in the charter.
right.
Yeah, okay. So every other piece of authority he has is a grant from the Board of Selectmen. And I believe that at one of their meetings, they did have a vote to support that and do it. And I have not ever seen any of the minutes on that myself. I don't know that you pursue that.
I didn't see
So,
anything.
Yeah, I would think the correct step for us, Mr. Chairman, would be a memo, requesting a copy of the bill where that authorization was there and the basis that the Board of Selectmen chose to do it.
So Tom, can you reach out to Maresco and the selectmen and get that? Because I don't have a problem with, putting more clarification on the emergency assignment of duties policy and how that works between, and define the
Sitting right
department,
behind you.
especially
Do it all?
under the enterprise.
I'm gonna close the roll. No, just that, it's just
I
that one.
don't,
sitting me right
I don't
behind.
disagree with you, John. I said,
I think the,
when we're in a state of emergency, we're in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
As long as the department heads, work as a team effort with town administration and the select board.
right, and
That's where we are.
if I can comment on this, it's, the policy, I think, was put in place during that state of emergency. If the need came up that we needed the volunteers, he wanted to be able to authorize the volunteers
Right.
to work. There really wasn't a need. The people that volunteered got a shot. They worked 4 hours. They got their shot and then never went back again. And that was on a volunteer basis, that if you wanted to get a shot, you'd put your name on a list and you went up. So other than really the first month or so of the vaccination clinic was really the only time that our employees were used.
Understood.
And they haven't been used since that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and the one other piece to this is, John, you were talking about, I think it was from the ethics department, state ethics board, about, you couldn't misuse the policy, the emergency state declaration. I went back and looked at that and read through and went online and looked at some stuff. The bottom line to me is, since Mike would not be guilty of anything under the ethics board simply because he gained no personal advantage from it.
I didn't have anything to do with ethics.
Well, when you first presented this, you quoted a section from the ethics board, if I recall correctly. You had an excerpt there.
Maybe I did.
Yeah, but anyway, to me, I just wanted to address that little good piece of it. I think the right way to do this
Oh,
is document
interrupt you. No, that was about the volunteers in the shot, and then the family members would get a shot. That's what the ethics.
Yeah. Okay. But I just
Where he said that the family members didn't get a shot. They had to work. In
They had
other
to
words,
volunteer themselves.
there was
Yeah.
two different
Yeah.
policies for town employees and the volunteers.
Right.
The volunteer had to work 12 hours, town employee worked
Yeah.
4 hours. And the 12-hour group
Yeah.
didn't get the family, but the town, employee got the family. So it was kind of Yeah, it was kind of mixed up here.
Now, is that in this policy?
Did that happen at the families?
It's not laid out.
It's got
is
shot.
it?
Yeah, it was on the.
Some of the families were called.
Yeah.
When there was extras, the family members who are close by were,
Rather than waste the vaccine.
Rather
rather
than
than
waste
waste
the
of
vaccine.
I don't have
vaccine,
an issue with that.
they
That's-
call people to
common
use
sense.
it up.
I do know that, like my wife volunteered at the fairgrounds, and she, volunteered, signed on for 12 hours. I think they used her for a grand total of 8, 2 4-hour shifts, and that was it. And I think that was the case. It wasn't so much you had to work the 12, but you had to be available for the 12.
Whatever.
I'm just-
I just don't think we need our employees to volunteer. What do you?
Well, the thing is, the issue is, and right, John, you're right on, making sure that it's worded correctly. It's not just,
Yeah.
this policy, this situation, it's where we go moving forward.
Right.
And then the issue is, I really would like to see moving forward, if there's another emergency, I mean, it was a major hurricane or tornadoes or whatever, that the Board of Public Works representative, which is whoever the superintendent of public works, in an emergency, should be notified, and it should be under the direction of the Board of Public Works agent, which is the superintendent of public works. And that should be in the emergency, so that we correct it moving forward.
I know, I agree with you there. The Board of Public Works always stepped up to the plate.
Right.
It wasn't like the volunteer, if you need a volunteer to do anything, Sean would provide the volunteer or whatever you need. We didn't really need a policy where Mr. Moresco stepped in and said, I'm gonna take one of the enterprise fund water department and put them over in direct traffic. I mean, that would be up to Tom, and just ask
I
Tom.
mean, yeah,
And then through the Board of Public Works, he fulfills that obligation.
and anytime there's any emergency in anywhere, there's usually 3 colored lights. It's a red, a blue, and a yellow.
Right,
That's always and usually, it's the yellow is the one that does all the work.
right.
So it's like, but the thing is the ultimate supervisor needs to be in control. And that's your point.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And so let's see if we can.
I'll look
find it
into
out.
that information
We
and
can,
get
we can
that.
modify the policies that we're moving forward
Yeah,
and highlight that section.
See if we get paid for those volunteers, so that's something that we're gonna look into.
Well, that would be a whole different fight.
Well,
I don't disagree with you. It is a.
so I'll look into that and get that information.
Okay, so,
Go ahead, the other boss, go ahead.
the road acceptance policy, we're gonna pass it over, and Lloyd has some issues, and we can get the issues.
Yeah.
The next one is the government infrastructure bill letter that Dave Carrier put together for shorefront protection.
Very good, Dave.
Dave, you want to take this?
Yeah, basically, we all know that there is a large chunk of change, and actually coming out of town meeting.
Jim Cantwell.
Huh?
Jim Cantwell.
Jimmy Cantwell was saying, well, no, we're sending 75 billion to the Commonwealth to take care of it. And my problem with that is, if it isn't earmarked, it doesn't necessarily get where we need it. So that's my position on that. And so the bottom line, I guess I would have is that, I think we should be proactive and at least try to reach out and convince our congressional delegation, both the 2 U.S. senators and our U.S. representative, that we should have earmarks that are specifically designed for shorefront protection. And I wanted to put in the plug about the fact that basically, not only do we need to harden the shorefronts themselves, but we also have to have the offshore devices that will actually mitigate the surge and the storm, break some of the high waves out when we have a bad nor'easter. I fall back to standing in 2010 at Amiches and Normandy, and looking out at where the mulberries and the caissons they sunk for D-Day were still sitting out there, and this little low seawall at Amiches Beach in Normandy, where the Canadians, if I recall correctly, landed. Was still standing there, and I talked to an old codger that said, "Oh yeah," he says, "you work good."
Yeah,
En français, he says, "I stay bien." I say, "Keep it wild bien."
they were.
So, Dave, I have a couple.
Yeah, this is a straw man, far away.
Okay.
Yep.
On the first paragraph.
Yep.
where it says awarding these grants to be given to those coastal entities. There's a spelling issue with that.
Yep.
All right, and then I'm thinking that can we we should name each of board members. We should sign it. The other question is,
Well, yeah.
can the final, can we get the selectmen to buy in?
We'll do
on
a
this?
joint, that was Dave's
Yeah, that was my
original.
intent, was to get, but I wanted to, we need to have our piece done before we hand
Right,
it to
we
them
should-
for their piece.
We should have the selectmen sign on to this too, because
Yeah.
it's really a fiduciary responsibility. And
Definitely.
they have the fiduciary responsibility.
And you can forward the draft after corrections of the entities and
Sure.
whatever else is there.
We have, Dan, you're pretty good at the,
Words.
right,
Yeah,
wordsmithing.
wordsmithing, yeah.
Use wordsmith it.
Yeah.
And can we get the selectmen?
We'll get the selectmen on board. I'll reach out to town administrator in the morning and ask them if they would be interested.
John, how are you
Signing
doing?
on.
Phil?
Yeah, and-
No,
and-
that's fine. I was just gonna make a suggestion. Do you think we ought to read a couple of sentences for the audience if they're there, that they know what?
Yeah.
Is anybody there? I can't even see.
It doesn't look like there is. any.
Doesn't seem to be, no. The thing I was gonna say,
Just a couple of paragraphs.
with this, Tom, when you're approaching the town administrator too, through the municipal association, reach out to the other coastal communities,
Yes,
and rouse as many of those to the battlefront as we can.
yeah, and, one of the things I thought is if we could, it might be an idea to include maybe even the planning board on this. So
Oh,
that-
I would
Oh,
think
yeah,
so.
absolutely.
So that if we, and then if we can get the three of us to craft a letter.
Yeah.
And then reach out to our counterparts up and down the coast.
Yeah.
I saw Kevin Cafferty from Situate last week. I bumped into him, Peter Buckus in Duxbury next door. I talk to him all the time and, in Plymouth, Peter's down there. So there's a lot of people that are in the same predicament that we
Yeah, I
are.
think that's a great idea.
And I was thinking Patrick is from the northern shore.
Right,
Russo.
yeah,
So to his father, he has contacts up there that, you can get people like in Essex.
sure. And I've got
elsewhere.
Dan
I mean,
Biz
yeah.
and Beverly
Yeah.
and
Just
Salem, so.
Just open the bullet to see who's up there for maritime guys.
That's another, yeah. No, I've got some contacts up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read it out just so in case there is somebody out there listening
Yeah,
that doesn't
that's,
show
just
up.
read a couple of sentences.
Okay,
So
the intent of this is to try and get some funding specifically for shorefront protection. And this would be addressed to the Honorable U.S. Senators Markey, Warren, and to U.S. Representative Keating. The town of Marshfield respectfully requests that you consider and act to amend the infrastructure bill by President Biden to dedicate 20% of proposed funding to be provided to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, specifically earmarked for shorefront protection projects to mitigate the impact of sea level rise and increased storm intensity due to climate change. We also request that these funds be granted without or with only minimal, less than 5%, matching local fund requirements. We also request that the preference in awarding these grants be given to those coastal, I'll make it communities, with existing plans and shovel-ready projects. The town of Marshfield's experience with our current shorefront protection projects also believes that offshore structures that attenuate wave action are needed to mitigate the impact to shorefront barriers such as dunes, revetment, and seawalls that currently exist, and that would be that would be constructed under the infrastructure bill. Such structures will also reduce impacts in the velocity zones past those initial barriers that protect public, private property and critical infrastructure. Respectfully, Board of Public Works, Town of Marshfield.
We'll do that today. Okay. So if we're gonna expand it.
Right.
They could do their own, the North Shore people could do their own. It'd be their own company.
Yeah, but I think once you plant the seed of going, what you're getting is then is, the Senate doesn't change. We only have 2 senators, but you start collecting a whole bunch more representatives in the House,
Oh,
which is where funding theoretically originates.
Next item is award RFQ 2021-12, repair of passive gas vents on landfill. This is a Paul Popovich issue. Hello, Paul.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Loud and
Very
clear.
good, thank you.
Pretty straightforward item. DEP's involvement has been, their level of scrutiny is greater than it had been, and the solar project is one factor in that. So they determined that they wanted a permit and applied for, and we did that, and they issued an approval of the permit to fix the broken gas fence, which is to do that essentially in accordance with the original specification. So at Rod's direction, we actually engaged Weston and Sampson to do this for us because they do a lot of landfill work and they know the body of contractors and vendors and companies quite well. So they got a lot of interest out there. The important thing is that they managed to, do it properly, and they got three, we got three quotes, and the low quote from Strategic Environmental Services was solidly endorsed by them because they have working experience with them. So without, going to too much more detail, we would, I just wrote up the recommendation to award this RFQ, repair of passive gas vents on landfill at Marshfield Landfill to Strategic Environmental Services. Just a few details. This was below the dollar threshold requiring a sealed bid. However, the IG still has very specific requirements for how you advertise this and post it, et cetera. We followed all of those. So we will move as quickly as we can on this. We did reach out to both DEP, the solar developer's engineer, the solar developer, and they got back to us and essentially said they were still waiting for some stuff from Eversource. And so in other words, don't wait for us, just go ahead and do this. So that's the recommended course of action. And I'll then I'll then work with Weston and Sampson just to try to get the work scheduled.
So Paul, we working for, this is my question. Are we going to award the contract to Weston and Sampson? And they're gonna hire the subcontractor? Or
no, it's going to be awarded. I think it'll be a quote. It'll be awarded to Strategic Environmental Services. I had spoken to Dan about this a while ago. Because of the dollar value, we would consider the purchase order to be, would serve as a contract. Therefore, there isn't the customary document that the Board of Public Works has to sign. But Weston and Sampson would provide oversight that is part of the package. So they would have a construction observer on site, but the town would issue a purchase order to SES for this.
So they'll be the prime contractor, and Weston and Sampson will be the oversight engineer.
The oversight and right, SES will be the prime contractor. Their lining sub, New England Liner Systems will be the sub to SES, and they'll actually, they'll do the membrane stuff. So could you go over the funding amounts of each person's contract?
Is it broken out that way, Paul?
Is it broken out at separate funding sources?
Yeah.
Well,
No, not the study. The scope of work is for Weston Sampson is the engineering component. And you have
Right.
32,600. And then when you go over to Strategic Environmental Services, their quote is $19,950.
right.
So my question is that $19,950, that's add in the $32,000. Or is that separate? So the total is 32 plus 19.
No,
Paul, excuse me, if I'm reading this correctly, right? All the work under the scope of work that is in the Weston Sampson signature, that is the budgeted amount that is a cost not to exceed. Is that correct? The 2,600?
Something I'm not understood. 32,600 is the quote for this, is the second highest quote. That's for EnviroTrack Limited.
Okay. All right, so that was just a budgeted item. Okay.
Just the budgeted,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Well, maybe, okay, I see that now. What was like, page 2, page 3.
So we're actually confined to the price we're going to be paying is the $19,000 odd for Strategic Environmental Services. Is that correct?
Correct. And
Okay, and then whatever oversight charges we receive for Weston and Sampson, which presumably are gonna be less than the price of the contractor doing the work.
Yes, that's, and certainly will be less than that. Yes, those are the two components. It probably will come in around 25,000 for both of them, I'm guessing.
And one more question, I presume that work is under our current contract with them for the solid waste and monitoring, correct?
It would be under the line item for Phase E engineering services because of DEP's involvement with the gas system. We
Yep.
kind of have we've just about overspent that line. But you know, there is money in the budget. Certainly there's money in the line item budget beyond that, but right now they would have overspent that line. I told them that I'd like to try to avoid having to go through a formal amendment to their contract in the next month and a half. They said they would try to work it out. That's the best thing. That's the most accurate answer I can give you right now.
But the bottom line on this, these funds are coming from the general fund because the landfill cap and its infrastructure is part of the closure, which was a general fund item under town meeting back in the 90s, correct?
You have mentioned that, and I guess what I have to do is, and I would want to run this through the superintendent and Dan probably then, but I would prepare, like I could prepare a summary of all these things because I have all the cost and just get it off in an email to you folks. I can get that done in a couple of days, and that would, yeah.
Okay,
That works.
works for me.
So, what do you want the board to do tonight?
I'm sorry, Bob, what was that?
What do you want the board to do tonight?
Well, because it's not the way I have this written, just to award the RFQ repair of passive gas belts to Strategic Environmental Services. That's kind of my best shot at writing somewhat of an unconventional motion because it have a purchase order in. A purchase order will serve as the contract because of the dollar value of the work that SES will be doing.
So I'll make the motion.
If I might, Mr. Chairman,
So go ahead.
I think we should configure the motion as authorizing the superintendent to create a purchase order for Strategic Environmental Services.
So I'm gonna make the motion to authorize the superintendent of public works to create a purchase order in the amount of $90,950 to Strategic Environmental Services for work relating to this RFQ.
I will second that.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Barring any further discussion, Chairman Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes,
Clerk Cusick,
Aye.
unanimous.
Thank you.
thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Bob.
We'll get the madness. Let's go to the madness. Paul grew up in Jersey, he understands. I said an old mafia trick, about them going to the mattress, you understood?
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm ready to pull up my sleeping bag and just start sleeping in one of them. Anyway, it's, just as a bit of background, again, I think this can be quite involving as you sink into it. The four companies are all different. They all approach it differently. They might have different standards what constitutes clean and dirty. I've gleaned that from talking to people at DEP and from our municipal assistance coordinator, Todd Kep. But right from the get-go, even when we first began hearing about the mattresses is becoming kind of a waste stream problem almost a year ago, like last summer and into the fall. Green Mattress was always kind of the firm that was kind of just willing to talk to us. That they return calls. They were responsive. They seemed to be interested in building up a bigger municipal base of customers, and that's what they've done largely in the Southeast region. And that's probably just the best sense for us to start with and just see how. They do serve a lot of towns nearby, including Duxbury, Kingston, Hanston, Situate, Halifax, and Cohasset were several that they mentioned. this gives them a degree of flexibility because they're kind of in this general, our neck of the woods quite a bit, so they can stop by fairly often and clean out the mattress container. Just so you know, the original way the state set this thing up, and it was largely set up through grants, they had a pricing system where there was a quoted price and a separate price for the haul. And to reduce the haul, you had to really try to get this container as like geometrically precisely full and packed with mattresses as you can, so that you haul it as infrequently as you need to, which can be kind of hard to do. So I think through just processing, just working at this with different towns for a few years, DEP agreed to modify some of the language which they put in the master price file, saying that municipalities and vendors are welcome to negotiate different price scenarios to best fit the needs of both parties, et cetera. And so that's the way Green Mattress really wants to approach it. Then I realized, but that's, the contract really has historically dealt with residential mattresses. And again, we've had this problem, as we've talked about, with many commercial mattresses coming in. So at the last meeting, the board established the price to, with the intent to dissuade this volume of a commercial mattress, just to really reduce this commercial mattress flow. And certainly we would want that to happen because, it would be very difficult to properly manage and recycle that flow. But recognizing that, I put in this excerpt from 30B because that language does, there is an exemption for the collection, transportation, receipt, processing, or disposal of solid waste, recyclable materials, or compostable materials from 30B. And certainly mattresses, they've been considered a solid waste now. It's abundantly clear, I think, that DEP is making and converting them to be recyclable materials. But in any event, it seems like they, this still would be covered by this exemption, and I feel just kind of gives us the latitude to select the vendor that we feel is appears to be the most suited for our needs. So that really was the reason why I just wrote it for Green Mattress. Perhaps I should have put the price quotes that they did in the motion that they gave us, but I just kind of confirmed them again today with their president, of $20 for a residential mattress and $35 for a commercial mattress. And that would include processing and transportation or / haul charges lumped into each price. So
I have a question, Paul.
Yep.
And then I'll put it to the board. At the last meeting, we were looking to do it at a disadvantage of having commercial mattresses being dumped on Marshall. It was $75.
Right.
Both Dave Carrier and myself, I'm not sure, John, if you had a comment on that, we're in favor of doing some kind of disadvantage price.
Correct.
So I'm going to ask the board, do we still feel that way?
Yeah, I do.
I feel that way.
You feel that
I
way?
have no interest in changing my vote on that.
And the second part of the question was $20. Is that too low, or should it be 25?
I think we can
Just hear me up for a second. Just to cover fluctuation.
I think it's somewhat fluid. That's what the gentleman, Mr. Adam Dorley, has quoted to me. It could be a little higher there, but we've also had some internal discussions about perhaps charging a little more if you want to have your mattress picked up curbside as a recyclable item with the sticker versus, you putting in the sweat, you putting in the effort to bring it to the transfer station. There are, having talked to different folks, there are a lot of there are a lot of different feelings and opinions about whether we should, do this or that. And I think it could be a little higher. We could make maybe the drop-off fee 25 if we wanted to. An opinion's been stated that perhaps we should make the curbside charge $30. In some discussions with Chris Massera of Republic a number of months ago, I remember him suggesting you might want to have a slightly higher charge for curbside collection than residential. So there's a lot of this kind of back and forth.
So I'm going to propose this, that if it's at drop off, residential drop off would be $25 per. Pickup at the curbside would be $35 and commercial would be $75. So I'm going to ask the other board members, what do you think?
I have a question first, Paul. I mean,
Yep.
the bulk item is embedded in our contract, correct?
I'm sorry, Dave, what was that?
Bulk item pickup is embedded in our contract.
It is.
Okay, and that means it's already being paid for in the rates, which are relatively high when it comes to solid waste and trash. I don't think we should be adding to that burden when it was embedded in the contract.
Is there any additional charge for that curbside pickup?
Well, what I had in discussions I had with Chris, since again, these would have to be picked up as recyclable items and handled carefully at the curbside. You know, they're not now. Now they're just, I think, thrown in somehow because they're trash, literally.
Thrown in the
So-
bucket.
In the bucket. Mr. Macera had suggested, he said, you know, if the stream isn't that much, I could do it like appliances. You know, I could do it like appliances that we schedule a pickup, you know, and we do it maybe once a month. You know, we would, you know, somebody would have to schedule it. And frankly, at the time, he had mentioned to me that he was hoping that he would like to not even change the price. I mean, he would just like to keep the contract the way it is, because if it's not that much, it's not that, you know, if it just isn't that much for him, it's not, you know, it's not really an item that he feels is worth his effort to change. If there was a huge amount of curbside mattresses, and if that meant him getting a separate or additional truck mobilized, it would be different, and he would have to look at it.
Paul, here's what I see as an issue with that. I'm gonna charge 25. All right, people are gonna do these cleanouts and they're gonna put their mattress out on the curb rather than have someone a commercial cleaner haul it away from them.
Mhm.
My concern would be that going forward, that we may see an increase on curbside pickup.
Yeah.
If we actually have that, I mean, if I might, Chairman,
Okay.
if we actually have that kind of experience, that's something we can address
Make adjustments.
whenever we do our rate changes each year. Okay,
Which is in
And-
August.
yeah, which is, you know, we typically resetting the rates. Secondly, is, I mean, people who are replacing mattresses, by and large, if the guy bringing the new one will haul off the old one, you say, yes, sir, go.
Right.
You know, so they don't end up at the transfer station anyway. It's only when an individual person goes out, purchases a mattress, brings it home, and then hauls it up to the dump. You know, or out to the curb.
I think 25 is okay, but I was gonna ask, it doesn't include the box spring, so.
No, it would include, the box spring would be a separate item. For purposes of DEP's language in this, it's been that, you know, the word mattress includes a box spring, and they can get into degrees of nuance in this that might be different for different companies, but you know, it's essentially if you've got a mattress and a box spring to get rid of, each one is going to be its own. It's going to be a separate item with its own price.
So I'm going to turn it back to you, Dave. Why don't you make the motion?
So do what?
Make the motion of award it to Green Mattress and what the dollars are.
Sorry, without, at this time, no change in the dollars.
The dollars would be 25 per resident.
Yep.
And the disinfectant commercial of 75.
You may make the motion because I don't support the 25.
What do you support, 20?
I'm good with the 20.
Okay.
That's where I was before, and, you know, to me, that,
John?
we're already
Yeah,
there, already purchased.
We could always change it to 25 when the rates. come
Yeah.
up.
So, okay,
Why don't we
fine.
go 20 and then.
So why don't you make the motion and we'll go for 20 and 75,
See what happens, yeah.
all right? That's the discussion that
Yep.
we're having amongst ourselves.
Right.
Well, that makes sense.
Anybody in the audience, you should ask.
Anyone in the audience would like to speak up on this? Paul, would you like to speak up on it?
No, there's one's over right there.
No,
David.
David's the IT guy.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's nobody.
There's nobody there. Judy Crowley's the only one on that's a resident.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
It looks like 4
Yeah.
people.
Okay. Motion to award recycling of commercial and residential mattresses collected
Sorry.
at Marshfield Transfer Station, Marshfield, Mass, to Green Mattress of Milford, Mass, the amount of $20 for a residential mattress brought in by the resident at the site, and $75 for a commercial mattress brought in by a commercial hauler. And that's our fees. The fees that will be provided to Green Mattress will be $20 for residential mattress and $35 for a commercial mattress.
That's confusing.
I corrected myself. The 75 is our charge at the dump for commercial, but the actual charge paid to Green will be 35.
Yeah, okay. How about for pickup?
We're not, that one we weren't gonna change because it's already included in.
It's
our
built into
contract.
the contract. Bulk items are built into the contract.
Okay.
So there's no change there.
So I have a motion, you have a second?
Second, I second.
All right, motion been made and second. Any further discussion? Barring none, Chairman Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier?
Aye.
Clerk Cusick?
Yes.
So moved.
So let
unanimous.
me ask the secretary, did you get the
Uh,
motion?
not really well, I'll have to listen to the tape.
Okay, fine.
It was kind of strange.
The motion as
Yeah,
far
I
as
may
Green
be
goes is
calling you, Dave.
the motion as far as Green goes is $20.35.
Right.
That's what's gonna happen.
But the charge to the resident is $20.
Well, we said that the other night, but the charge to the commercial is 25.
Right.
75.
Right.
It's 20 to the,
And that doesn't include the box spring.
No, the box spring is a separate charge, that same as a mattress.
Yeah, so make sure you qualify that the box thing and the mattress is two separate charges. Okay, the next item is discussions. 965 Main Street, update, Dave?
I'll defer to Tom on most of this. The one thing that we did I think we closed the issue, but one never knows when one deals with the town administrator and the photovoltaics, that we will not be doing the carport photovoltaics, which would take place in the paved area immediately behind this building, until such time as the new construction is complete and we can occupy that space. I'll give the rest of it to Tom. I had said this could be done under the superintendent's report, but
Sure, no,
Dan
that's,
put it in, and you can fill them in on where we are with the materials, testing,
Sure.
and all the rest of that stuff.
thank you, Dave. The scheduling, we're scheduling a meeting with the gas fitter to run the line out here with the plan that we received. And I'm gonna look into the difference between the iron pipe and the plastic PVC. I want some more information on that. Today, UTS, Weston and Sampson Soil Testing Company was out. They took samples from here and down at Parsonage Street. So they said that they would expedite the sampling by hopefully the end of the week. So I'm looking at possibly Monday being out here, doing the unsuitable removal and replace. Hopefully with a satisfactory report on this soil out here that we can reuse.
Did they give us any explanation of why the retest was taking place down the Parsonage?
I haven't heard any. I asked that in one of the meetings and never really got it.
So we have some surplus of material down at Parsons Street.
Well, we have one pile of material at Parsonage Street that we screened so that we could use as structural fill underneath the footprint of the building. And so we're gonna be able to haul that up here. But and try not to have to move this more than once. If we can sample this and it's suitable to use for structural fill, we'll use it under the footprint here. And that way we won't have to haul it off.
Oh, okay, good.
And Tom has been constantly poking at our friends at Weston and Sampson to move this forward. And it was his prodding that actually got him to abandon Briggs and move over to UTS, which is United Testing Services, if I remember right.
Yes.
But I won't swear to that.
No, it is.
Use them in another life.
Yeah. And, you know, one of my concerns is this has set us back 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and never mind what happened down at Parsonage Street, all the work we did down there only to find out that we couldn't use the site. But the town has stepped up with some money to offset those costs that we spent down there. So we're not in that bad a shape. Next is the Marshfield Hills.
Okay.
Before
I'm
you go
sorry.
there, did we get any additional information on the temporary building that we were looking at from East Bridgewater?
Still nothing yet. They're in the process of, getting a new town administrator.
That's right, you mentioned it.
So I'm waiting on them. I did talk to John on Thursday. He has started the discussion with the interim.
Just, I don't think you caught this, but basically there was like a double wide or triple wide bill.
It's a 40 by 60 module office trailer.
That basically East Bridgewater had. And if we can get that, that would let us eliminate a bunch of what we're renting right now and save us considerable funding. And basically it would be purchased. But then ultimately, Tom has it used for storage for future purposes as well.
And
So,
there is a possibility that we could make a swap with material and where it's intermunicipal. Bob Galvin has told us that we have a little bit more wiggle room than we normally would.
So the material that we screened down at Parsons Street, if we can get this material to be used, what is the ultimate use of that material?
We'll use that also.
Use it at the police station or will be?
No, we'll use it on this site, but so I don't have to haul this out of here.
Yeah, I get that.
If I can use it on site rather than haul it out, that'll save us a lot of time.
Right.
we won't have to screen. I mean, we could be imposed to screen, but in addition to that, we'll need most of the material we have at Parsonage to supplement what we can salvage here.
We're not in
We
a
may
zone
have to
two
haul
up here.
some in.
We're not in a zone two up here, right?
No,
Okay,
No, so that's some of this material, it's a really good sandy gravel, so that we have some options.
so the next item is Marshfield sidewalk update,
Yes,
Marshfield Hills.
Marshfield Hills sidewalk, we're looking at a June 1st start date. I've been talking with Asplin Tree Service. They're gonna take care of the trees up there for us. We have an agreement with one of the abutters on the corner of Highland as a laydown area for our granite curbing. And we're in the process now of circulating the right of entry forms up there so that we can get going on this project.
and I would like to supplement what Tom said. Asplin is a contract with Eversource, and it's actually Eversource is paying for their takedown of
Yes.
trees. Yeah. So we negotiated a freebie, so to speak.
Question on trees and sidewalks. Does the town have a policy, or the Board of Public, the DPW have a policy of planting trees between the road and the sidewalk?
We probably should have a formal policy, but we don't have one now. We have recommended on a number of occasions when we do site plan review that we would prefer that the trees went on the backside of the sidewalk.
So can we,
But that's under the planning board right now, that policy.
Right.
so can we have a discussion with the planning board and that, and basically make it known that, yeah, it's great to have trees when they're young, but they ruin all the sidewalk and the infrastructure
Right.
later on.
Our argument with the planning board was the narrow strips. If we had an 8 to a 10-foot strip between the curb and the sidewalk, you could put a tree that wouldn't heave the sidewalks. I mean, you can plant a shallow rooted pear, non-fruit bearing pear tree. They're colorful. That in the springtime with their bloom, it can be pink, it can be white, but they're small trees. They don't have a big bloom, so they don't heave the sidewalks.
And the roots diameters and stuff are relatively small, so they don't have the physical strength like an oak root.
We also we also mentioned not only the sidewalk issue, but the overhead wires. We don't
Right.
want to plant trees underneath the overhead wires.
So do we have the Board of Public Works have a policy relating to that?
No, we'll have to put one in place.
I think we should work on it over the next year.
We can, and we need to make it, I think, a piece of the street acceptance policy,
Yes,
because right now, we don't have any authority over that. The planning board determines
Right.
the layout and everything else, but if we build that in as part of the street acceptance, that will tend to diffuse any people that really want to stick a tree in that 2-foot margin.
sure. No, definitely.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so, so we're looking at, you know, taking the trees down up there, there's 11 trees. And we told them that, if they would like a replacement of those trees, it would have to be on their property on the backside of the sidewalk.
Great.
And so far, you've had no takers.
I've had no takers yet. No, and, no, so we're looking forward to getting going up there and, we'll address, lining up that intersection, squaring it off and getting the drainage issue straightened out and passable sidewalks.
So I do like the suggestion that the carrier made, that we include that phasing of trees and overhead wires into the road acceptance policy. So we
Yeah.
need to add that to
We can do that, definitely.
it. John, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was gonna ask Paul. Paul, are you all set?
I think so.
Yeah, but let's,
Paul,
let Paul go.
good night.
Good night. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Paul. Talk to you later.
That's why.
Okay. Item number 3 on the discussion, Eagle Scout sea trash project.
Yes, we have a young man,
Charles Crowley.
Charles Crowley, is an Eagle Scout. He's doing his project. He's been working with, both Dave and, Debbie Sullivan, with locations to these sea barrels, and I'll let Dave,
Yeah, he's basically
Speak
has,
more on
has gotten all of the areas he has to go to complete his Sea Eagle project. And part of the reason this got some impetus is you gotta complete it before you're 18. He's 18 at the end of the month.
Oh.
In order to get your Eagle badge. I went through this with my oldest, so I can
he's
speak
under
to,
the gun.
and I immediately volunteered. When Judy Crowley actually reached out to me, and I immediately jumped in. And I found that both Tom and Debbie had already done the spade work, and also Mike DeMayo. And basically what he's doing, the Eagle Scout has obtained the drums, he gets a decal on it that says sea trash. You know, the whole idea is when the boaters are out there and they see something floating, they scoop it out of the water. They just drop it off. They're gonna be, he's got them in Green Harbor Yacht Club. He's got them in Duxbury as well. He actually is a scout in the Duxbury group. And the bottom line is he intends to continue this. He's going into environmental science after he graduates from high school this year. And you know, his intent, I put him in touch with Marshfield Yacht Club so they can put some there. I talked to Tom.
Town Pier.
Tom Pierre is going to have a pair. I also talked to Tom about maybe putting one up and down at Damon's Point,
Right.
at the end of the point.
Fishing,
Yeah, be a good location. You know, and those are the main boat put-ins and pullouts, so that works out pretty well, I think, for everything all around.
Yeah.
And
Mary's
you know,
Boatyard.
Mary's would be another one.
Yeah. yeah, and I think he had reached to. I don't know if he's gone to Mary's or not.
Is that,
He didn't
that's
mention
a
it.
gas dock, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, gas, and a lot of people come
Oh,
in
right,
with gas.
you get fuel.
And,
Yeah,
and also you also have the situation of a lot of stuff floating down the North River that gets tossed in, ultimately
definitely.
ends up in the ocean.
Right,
Definitely.
right.
So, yeah, I'll actually reach out through, I actually have his email, so I'll reach out to Mitch
As soon as
Mary.
they see stuff floating in the ocean, they pick it
Yeah,
up.
Jack Bowman
Then they
is
come
on
back
the
to the
on the
pier,
other side of the
they
river.
take the trash, they throw it in there.
So, but that, you know, that's the status on that, and, you know, he's all set, and, I was glad
You
to
see
be able
stuff
to
floating out in the ocean, you bring it with you.
get it all brought together and, get his grandmother
Okay.
calmed down.
Yeah.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna start with Plain Street Water Main. Saw cut is scheduled for this Thursday, and the project will begin Monday the 17th out here on Plain Street. It'll be in the gutter between Preacher's Path and Cross Street intersection there.
That's where, about 2 years ago now, we did the patchwork, right? We had the
Yes.
leak there.
Yeah, we had a small leak there, but
So
yeah,
we're going across the street.
we're gonna, yes, we're gonna go across and follow the gutter and make the connection.
If you're driven, where Old Plain comes out to,
Are you
Old Main
going
comes out
under,
to Plain, you see they
The
stockpile
pipe's
the
all
pipe
there,
there.
yeah.
are we going under the road? Or we just go along the road?
We're going along the side of it.
So we're not crossing the road at all?
No, we're not crossing.
Because that's a state highway that always presents additional problems.
Right. So, and they've also waived the 9 a.m. start, 3 p.m. stop. They're gonna let us work from 7 to 4. And they've also waived the permanent patch every afternoon. We can put a temporary patch, and then on Fridays, we'll do a permanent patch.
Are they gonna let us use like a roadway plate if we need to?
No.
Just temporary patch, okay.
Right, just
What is
temporary.
what is the schedule for work? When are we gonna start? What date we're starting?
We're
What time we
starting,
ending?
we're starting on the 17th. And it should be about 2 weeks.
Okay, to the end of the month.
Right.
So basically, our target, I presume, is not to be doing anything on the Memorial Day.
No, that's the purpose of starting now, so we could get it done.
Fine.
Okay, Ocean Bluff, we met with the Ocean Bluff group last Tuesday. We met with Dave Miller, Ron Gilbertson, the GEI consultants, engineering staff. Chairman Cusick sat in on the meeting. We discussed the options and the phases and the costs all associated with the project. I thought it was a very good meeting.
Very good.
We got a lot accomplished. They left here feeling confident and comfortable that we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, great.
Peter Igo Park, we will be dig safing the areas around the perimeter of the park for the placing of posts and signs, delineating the wetlands, and for plantings. When the construction of Peter Igo was underway, we encroached on some wetlands down there. And what we're doing now is as mediation, we're going to post these signs along the perimeter of the wetlands. We have to move the horseshoe pits and we have to move the gazebo. And then we have to do some planting down along the river where they store the boats, the scull boats. So that's a project we'll be working on. Also, Bluefish Cove, we're working in conjunction with the Conservation Commission, delineating the marsh from the roadway. So we'll be dig safing that area for the purpose of placing 11 posts and signs along that Bluefish Cove.
So my question on Peter Igo Park. What is the funding and what is the amount that we're spending on it?
The funding is very minimal. It's under CPC.
Yeah.
So
Under the original CPC funding?
yeah, we purchased the cedar posts, putting cedar posts in so they last longer. They won't rust and they won't, and once they're in the ground, they're good for a long time. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing down there. Bluefish Cove, same idea. There's 11 signs that have to go up there. We maintain that road. It's private road open to the public, but we maintain it. We grade it every fall and spring. And over the years, some of the material has been windrowed along the side of the roadway, and the residents will knock that windrow over so that they could get additional parking.
Is that the one that goes out to the ABC roads?
Yes. So we will come down from Central, down along the edge of the marsh and curve up to 8th Street. There's 11 signs. There's 2 parcels that are owned by conservation. The rest are private that we have got access right. We've got right of entries. Same idea we're doing down here with it. And the private property owners have already agreed to allow these up. Ocean Street from Mayflower to Old Colony will be milled starting tomorrow, getting ready to pave that area. Ferry Street was milled today from Telegraph Hill to the intersection of Church Street and the island there. We milled that. Both of those roads will be paved before the Memorial Day holiday. The Marshfield Hills sidewalk, I already gave you that update, and the 965 Plain Street. Other than that, that's pretty much my superintendent's report.
I know we had one question. The generator work that we had outstanding for the all sites. Any status on that?
No, I'll check with the
Paul, yeah, I know they were pouring a pad not too long ago there.
Yeah, Paul needed the pad, down at Webster. I think they are down there working now in Webster. Cause, that's right, cause you mentioned that to us this morning.
Well, Dan was here when Chucky and Fred came in because they had to go buy material.
Oh, okay, yeah, he told us
You know, I
this
gotta remember
morning,
to pay Pat's.
they were working on
Credit
the
card.
Webster 2, I believe, down there, getting the
Right.
pad ready. So, yeah, that's ongoing. Other than that,
So I'd like to make a comment that, with a heavy heart, that the town of Marshall has lost a long-time employee by name Kay Ramsey, who was the secretary to the planning board for 25 years. And that Kay always had a smile on her face and a love for dogs.
And a full candy dish.
Yeah.
Full
more
candy.
than one kid you did.
Oh, yeah, and she's sorely missed.
Yeah.
And that, her wake is on Friday afternoon,
Yes, 4 to 8.
4 to 6, I
4 to
believe.
6.
4 to 6 p.m.
4 to
There-
6.
there
At McDonald Funeral Home.
There will be a card coming around, just for anyone to sign. Her donation, she's requested go to Molly.
Yeah, the
Molly
Molly
Park,
Molly Fund, yeah.
Molly Fund. So I don't know. if-
I thought there was a second one that you go to the animal shelter.
Yeah, she didn't have one for
Yeah,
them, but
she had
she had
said
two
that.
choices.
She had two choices.
Okay,
So,
so if anyone wants to donate,
so would the board like to donate as a group or do it individual?
I think it's easier and more efficient if we do it individually, and trying to get back together and pool ourselves. My wallet's locked up in my car, so I don't want to.
So my checkbook too, I mean, so what, could you email us the address where we
I'll
send the
get
check
the,
to?
I'll get the
I'll
information.
find out.
Was it in the obituary?
No.
No, okay. Well, I know Danielle Kerrigan sent me an email this morning about the card, so I'll find out what the other one is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know
Yeah, I definitely will be doing to the Molly Fund. I just knew, my daughter babysat the Molly.
Well, what they're
tragic.
talking about is
Something like that.
possibly purchasing a small statue of a puppy and putting it in the Molly Park, someplace in the Molly Park. That was discussed.
Okay,
So, but I'll get more of the particulars and let you know.
Please do, thank you.
please do, because, she was always there, she was always in town hall.
Yeah.
You
This
know,
was her second home.
her, every holiday, no matter what it was, Halloween, any type of a celebration,
Candy.
you'd come in the morning and there'd be a bag on your desk.
Yep.
And it would be 4 or 5 pieces of candy, and a card, happy Halloween. At Christmas time, she always had something for you, a little gift and a card, and, you know, she was very, very nice and always, like you said, always had a smile on
Oh,
her face.
absolutely.
And when her health allowed, she also always had an open house for anybody and everybody that worked
Oh,
in the town
yeah.
to stop in. And I mean, I did a number of minor tasks down at her house, over the last, say, half a dozen years. The person that was there and sustaining her all the time at town hall was Rod Procacci.
Yeah, I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
I mean, many times, and,
Greg Emon too.
yeah, Greg there too, but I'm just saying, one of my tasks was always to get down and trim her beach rose bush there that would, because she was not a tall person and her cars were relatively small, so she had a difficult time backing out when it started to grow every spring.
Oh, yeah.
No, I know
She's a good
Rod
lady.
spent a lot of time down there and to
And she was
read
very
her
good to
obituary,
his adopted children.
she had a pretty eventful life.
Yes, she did.
She did, so
Yeah.
she'll be missed.
Very
Well,
much so.
well said, Bob, thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go to an executive session for a discussion of the superintendent's contract. And we will not be returning to the public session. So here, saying that, I would ask the secretary to poll the board to go into executive session.
Will the board to go into executive session, not to return to open session in regard to discussion on the superintendent's contract? Dan Carrier,
Aye.
John Cusack,
Aye.
Bob Shaw.
Right, and the reason why we're having an executive session because it is not in the best interest for the town and the individuals to do it in public section.
Do you want to say the next meeting, Bob?
So the next meeting will be Monday, May 24th at 6 o'clock. We're staying at 6.
It's okay by me?
6 o'clock PM. Having said that, we'll go to executive session and we should adjourn the public session now.
We'll adjourn when we end the executive
We
session,
return only for adjournment.
right?
Only for adjournment.
And that it requires a roll call vote to go into executive session. Chairman Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carey,
Aye.
Clerk Cusick,
Aye.
unanimous.
So we can close the public section now.
We're all done.
Wanna go?
Yep.
So tomorrow morning, Bob.
It doesn't matter.
Is that-
It doesn't matter.